Hola, hola, hola. On we go with Module 10A, Capítulo 3. Primero un repaso de la gramática útil 1 interrogatives, looking once again at making questions in español. Continuing with un repaso de la gramática útil 2, ER and IR verbs, the conjugations in the present tense. La materia nueva, la gramática útil 3, possessive adjectives, talking about possessions, owning things, my, your, his, her, etc. Continuing with sonrisas, smiles, el dibujo animado, the little cartoon for capítulo 3. Y finalmente, we will wrap up our exploration, explore y exprésate, of las tres islas del Caribe. La República Dominicana is the third of las islas that we will be going over in Module 10A. So let's continuar con un repaso, la gramática útil 1, interrogatives making questions in español. Okay, working with las preguntas. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different here. You're going to see the question word in Spanish, a little funny phrase to try to remember the question words, the interrogatives, and a picture that goes with it. So what I would like you to do is, por favor, repitan. You're just going to simply repeat. Repitan. ¿Cómo? ¿Cómo? How does the cow moo? ¿Cómo? How does the cow moo? ¿Cuánto? ¿Cuánta? ¿Cuántos? ¿Cuántas? ¿Cuánto? Quantity. Cost. Amount. How much? How many? Notice all those T's. Let's say it again. ¿Cuánto? ¿Cuánto? Quantity. Cost. Amount. How much? How many? Repitan. ¿Cuándo? ¿Cuándo? When do you do your taekwondo? ¿Cuándo? When? Repitan. ¿Quién? 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 Who? ¿Quién? 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 Who? Repitan. ¿Cuál? Which qual, my pretty? He. ¿Cuál? Which qual? Repitan. ¿Dónde? ¿Dónde? Where does dawn hide day? ¿Dónde? ¿Dónde? Where? Repitan. ¿Qué? ¿Qué? What is the K for? ¿Qué? What is the K for? Repitan. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? Why is porque pink? Why is porque pink? Okay, repitan. ¿Cómo? How does the cow moo? ¿Cómo? Repitan. ¿Cuánto? ¿Cuánto? Quantity. Cost. Amount. How much? How many? Repitan. ¿Cuándo? ¿Cuándo? When do you do your taekwondo? Repitan. ¿Quién? 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 Who? Repitan. ¿Cuál? ¿Cuál? Which qual, my pretty? He. Which? Repitan. ¿Dónde? ¿Dónde? Where does dawn hide day? Repitan. ¿Qué? What is the K for? ¿Qué? What is the K for? Repitan. ¿Por qué? Why is porque pink? ¿Por qué? Now see if you can come up with the interrogative how. Think of the little expression we just learned, how. ¿Cómo? Remember the expression? How does the cow moo? ¿Cómo? ¿Cómo se dice how much, how many? Cuánto, quantity, cost, amount, how much, many. ¿Cómo se dice when? Taekwondo, cuando, when do you do taekwondo, cuando? ¿Cómo se dice who? Who? ¿Quién, quién? ¿Cómo se dice which? Which call, cuál? ¿Cómo se dice where? ¿Dónde? Where does don hide day? ¿Cómo se dice what? ¿Qué? What is that K for? ¿Cómo se dice why? ¿Por qué? Why is porque pink. Okay, see one come along here. See if you can say the question word. Why? ¿Por qué? How? ¿Cómo? How much? How many? ¿Cuánto? Who? ¿Quién? Which? ¿Cuál? Where? ¿Dónde? Where does don hide day? What? ¿Qué? What is the K for? And the last one, when? ¿Cuándo? When do you do taekwondo? So maybe those little tricks will help you to remember the question words, but let's just say them and have a look at their significance in English. Repitan, ¿cuál? ¿Cuáles? ¿Qué? ¿A qué hora? ¿De qué? And we're going to talk about the a and the de in front of some of these. Repitan, ¿cuándo? ¿Cuánto? ¿Cuánta? ¿Cuántos? ¿Cuántas? ¿Dónde? ¿A dónde? ¿De dónde? ¿Quién? ¿Quiénes? ¿De quién? ¿De quiénes? ¿Cómo? ¿Por qué? A few rules about interrogatives. All interrogative words, all question words are preceded by an inverted question mark. The question mark is closed with a regular, or the question rather, is closed with a regular question mark. So remember that when you're writing, you must put the upside down question mark at the beginning. In addition, all interrogative words have a written accent. It can actually change the meaning of the word without the accent. For example, it's that which I want. Es lo que quiero. Que without an accent in a sentence changes the meaning to that. Very important that you include the accent on the syllable that has the stress. Note that quién and cuál change to reflect number. So, ¿quién es el chico? Who is the boy? ¿Quiénes son los chicos? Who are the boys? ¿Cuál es importante? Which is important. ¿Cuáles son importantes? Which are important, por ejemplo. Along with that, cuánto also changes to reflect both number and gender. So, ¿cuánto dinero? How much money? For example, ¿cuánta gente? How many people? How much people? A few more rules. ¿Qué versus cuál? This can be difficult for us in our English language. ¿Qué is used to ask for a definition. ¿Qué es el reloj de 24 horas? What is the 24-hour clock? So you want a definition. ¿Qué is used to ask for an explanation or further information. ¿Qué vas a estudiar este semestre? What are you going to study this semester? You want an explanation or more information. ¿Qué is generally used when the next word is a noun. ¿Qué libros te gustan más? What books are most pleasing to you? ¿Qué clase tienes a las 8? What class do you have at 8? So you'll see following the interrogative que, there's a noun, libros, or clase. When do we use cuál? Cuál is used to express a choice between specific items. ¿Cuál de los libros prefieres? Which of the books do you prefer? It's also used when the next word is a form of ser, a form of the verb to be, but the question is not asking for a definition. So look up above again. ¿Qué es el reloj? So what is the 24-hour clock? That's a definition. Look at the bottom. ¿Cuál es tu número de teléfono? Which is your phone number? ¿Cuáles son tus clases favoritas? Which are your favorite classes? So you'll notice that a form of the verb ser is after cuál, but it's not asking for a definition as above. Let's continue with some rules. Let's look at using donde, a donde, and de donde. Donde is used to ask where something is. Por ejemplo, ¿dónde está la biblioteca? Where is the library? Notice now when we say put a, which means to, it's used to ask where someone is going. To where are you going? ¿A dónde vas ahora? Where are you going now? By the way, we're going to be learning the verb to go in this module. Notice that donde and a donde are both translated the same way into English, where, but the a is to, so they're putting the to in front of the question. Oftentimes you'll hear in English, where are you going to? Which is very incorrect English, actually dangling that to at the end. In Spanish, they put the to in front of the question. The other form of donde that we will see is de donde. Use de donde to ask where someone is from. And once again, the from is going in the front of the question. From where is Juan? Where is Juan from? De donde es Juan? Let's look at how de quién works, de in front of quién. De quiénes and de quiénes son are used to ask about possession, and part of this module is going to be gramática útil about possession, my, your, his, her, etc. You answer using de. Let's take a look at ejemplos. ¿De quién es la computadora? Whose computer is this? But you have to ask of whom is the computer. The respuesta es de Miguel. It's Miguel's. The apostrophe S for possession does not exist in Spanish. So we can't say es Miguel's computadora. We would have to say es la computadora de Miguel. And again, we'll get into this later in the module. Plural, ¿de quiénes son los libros? Of whom are the books? Whose books are they? Would be the air quotes translation. Son los libros de Anita y Manuel, or son de Anita y Manuel. They're Anita's and Manuel's. Again, no apostrophe S. We have to say son los libros de Anita y Manuel. And let's take a look at por qué. Notice por qué as a question is two words with the accent over the E and K. And por qué as a response, because, is one word contracted together. So questions using por qué are answered using por qué. Let's take a look. ¿Por qué tienes que trabajar? Why do you have to work? Notice the por qué as an interrogative is two words, accented E. The response, ¿por qué necesito el dinero? Because I need the money. Note that the interrogative is two separate words with an accent on K, the E. Por qué is one single word with no accent. And finally, something called tag questions. You can form simple yes and no questions by adding a tag question. Conjugation of regular ER and IR infinitives in the present tense. So remember, what's an infinitive? An infinitive is the to form of the verb. It's the form that you find in the dictionary. It's the form of the verb that ends in AR, ER, or IR, and it's the form that is not yet conjugated. So it's not changed to match a subject. So let's look at how to conjugate these verbs. First of all, this is good news. They conjugate just like regular AR infinitive verbs. First, you break down the infinitive into the verb and the parts. So you chop off that ending and you're left with the stem and the ending. And then just like the regular AR verbs, once you break down the stem and the infinitive ending, you can conjugate them. These are our ER verbs. Repitan, por favor. Aprender a. Aprender a. To learn how to do something. So aprender a will be followed by an infinitive. For example, aprender a hablar español. To learn to speak Spanish. Aprender a bailar. To learn to dance. Repitan, beber. Beber, which means to drink. The word la bebida means the drink, the noun, the drink. Beber. Repitan, comer. Comer, which means to eat. Repitan, comprender. Comprender. You can see the cognate there, comprehend. You can see that in that verb. Repitan, correr. Correr, to run. Repitan, creer. Creer en. Creer means to believe, and creer en means to believe in, if you add the en. Now we have one that's going to work like aprender. It's used oftentimes with another infinitive. Repitan, deber. Deber. Por ejemplo, deber estudiar. Ought to study, should study, for example. Repitan, leer. Leer. You know that one from our commands a while ago. Repitan, vender. What does a vending machine do? Vending machine sells. Repitan, vender. To sell. Let's go over them one more time. Repitan, aprender a, beber, comer, comprender, correr, creer, creer en, beber, leer, vender. On the next slide, they'll start to scroll by. Look at the Spanish and call out the English. Here we go. To ought to, should, to eat, to believe, to comprehend or understand, to learn to read, to learn, to believe in, to drink, to run, to sell. Now get ready, they'll scroll by. See if you can call out the Spanish. I know it's a little bit early. Beber, beber. Comer, comer. Creer, creer. Comprender, aprender a. Leer, aprender. Creer en, beber. Correr, vender. So how do we conjugate these ER verbs? Well, we do the same as we start out when we conjugate the AR verbs. First, you find the stem by dropping the ER. So take an example. We have vender. What do you chop off? You chop the ER. And what would the stem or root be? You'd be left with vend. And remember that in the stem or root is the meaning of the verb. What do we do next? We chop the ending. Next, we look at the subject. So here's our regular double-cross chart. And we have our subjects, first on the left-hand side singulars, right-hand side plurals, and then you know what comes next? We add. We add the correct verb ending, and here are the endings. O, Es, e. Hemos, eis, en. Look familiar? They should look familiar. Follows a very similar pattern to the AR verb conjugations. The only change is what? The A has been changed to E for every conjugation. So let's see if we can practice with one. We have the verb vender. What do we do first? Chop off the ER, and what are we left with? We're left with the stem. And then we simply add the ending. So yo vendo. How would you say you sell or are selling or do sell? Tú vendes. He, she, or you formal sell. Él, ella, usted vende. We are selling. We do sell. We sell. Nosotros, nosotras vendemos. You guys, you gals, you guys and gals are selling books. Vosotros, vosotras vendéis. They are selling books. They are selling the house. You all are selling pizza. Venden. Let's just say the forms. Say them with me. Vendo, vendéis, vende, vendemos, vendéis, venden. And let's look once again at some of the rules of the regular conjugation of these verbs. The present indicative, which is I'm talking about something happening right now, depending on how it is used, can correspond to the following English. I read, I am reading, I'm going to read, I do read. If asked a question, do you read? Are you reading? Sometimes I see in your translations, in your work that you do for your homework, you'll say something like, yo soy hablo, thinking that you're saying, I am talking. Take that form of ser out of there. Remember that the am, is, are, do, does is built into the translation. So if you write something like yo hablo, that means I talk. I am talking. I do talk. The same thing will apply with our ER verbs like leer. Second, you can often omit the subject pronoun when the subject is clear from the verb ending or from the context. For example, if you see leo en la biblioteca todos los días, you know with that O ending, it only can mean I read in the library every day. Lees en la residencia estudiantil, no. You read in the dorm, right? Lees, that es ending can only be used for tú. Bravo. Let's move on now to IR verbs. And let's first learn the IR verbs that we'll be focusing on in the module. Repitan, por favor. Abrir. Abrir. You should know this from your commands that we learned a while ago. Repitan. Asistir a. Asistir a. I bet that some of you thought that meant to help, to assist. This is a false cognate. It means to attend. Por ejemplo, yo asisto a la clase. I'm attending the class. Repitan, compartir. Compartir means to share. So maybe you can think of little mail compartments and you're sharing the envelopes with everybody in the apartment complex. Compartir. Repitan, describir. Describir. And the next one, descubrir. Descubrir. So notice describir has the I like describe, descubrir to discover. Cubrir, by the way, means to cover, like to put a cover on something, cubrir. Repitan, escribir. Escribir. You can see the word scribe in there, and that should be familiar from our command section in our first chapter. Repitan, imprimir. Imprimir, to print. You can almost see the word print in there. Repitan, recibir, good cognate. Recibir, to receive. Repitan, transmitir. Good cognate. Transmitir, to transmit or to broadcast. Finalmente, repitan, vivir. Vivir. And we use this extensively in our greetings. ¿Dónde vives tú? ¿Dónde vive usted? So let's go through them one more time. Make note of the English as you repitan, por favor, el español. Repitan: abrir, asistir a, compartir, describir, descubrir, escribir, imprimir, recibir, transmitir, vivir. So in the next slide, you're going to see them scroll by. You will see the español, call out the inglés. To transmit or to send. To describe. To print. To discover. To attend. To open. To receive. To share. To write. To live. Get ready now and see if you can come up with any of them now in español. Transmitir. Describir. Imprimir. Descubrir. Asistir a. Abrir. Recibir. Compartir. Escribir. Vivir. So to conjugate these IR verbs, you'll be so happy. This is just like our ER and AR verbs. First, you find the stem by dropping the IR. So if you see our example, vivir, you chop off the IR and you're left with the stem viv, V-I-V. What do you do next? Well, of course, you look at the subject. Notice I've included now, instead of él, por ejemplo, the subject might be Marco. Instead of ella, she, the subject could be any singular feminine subject, for example, la chica. Instead of nosotros, it could be el hombre y yo, el estudiante y yo. Anybody and y yo could take the nosotros form. Instead of vosotros, vosotras, anybody y tú. Los estudiantes y tú. La mujer y tú could become the you guys. So keep in mind, those forms will take the subject pronoun or subject that would work. Ellos, por ejemplo, could be los chicos. Ellas could be Ana y Sara. Ustedes could be Ana y usted. So what are the endings for these IR verbs? Take a look. O, es, e, imos, is, en. And what do you notice? That's right, 3 of them are exactly the same as the ER verbs. I always say the IR verbs are jealous of the ER verbs, except for nosotros and vosotros. And you're going to see the I comes into play there, imos and is. Don't forget the accent on is. So they're very similar, identical, except for nosotros and vosotros. So give it a try. Como se dice, I live in Buffalo. Yo vivo en Buffalo. Are you living in the dorm? ¿Tú vives en la residencia estudiantil? He lives in New York. Él vive en Nueva York. We live in the United States. Nosotros vivimos, nosotras vivimos en los Estados Unidos. You guys, y'all live. Vivís. And they or y'all live, ellos, ellos, ustedes viven. Let's just say the forms. Say them with me. Yo vivo, vives, vive, vivimos, vivís, viven. Continuing with some of the rules. 3, you may use an infinitive after certain conjugative verbs. For example, tienes que imprimir esto. Do you have to print this? ¿Necesitas leer este libro? Do you need to read this book? Dejo de leer después de medianoche. I stop reading after midnight. So notice that when two verbs are used together, the first one is conjugated, the second one is in the infinitive, just like in English. Do you need to read? That second, we don't say do you need, do you read? Right? We leave the second in the infinitive. However, do not use two verbs conjugated together unless they're separated by a comma or the words and or. Por ejemplo, leo, estudio y escribo composiciones en la biblioteca. I read, I study, and I write compositions in the library, separated by commas or the word and. Remember that you can negate sentences in the present indicative tense. You can make them negative to say you don't do them just by putting no in front of the verb. No comemos en la cafetería hoy. We're not eating in the cafeteria today. We don't eat in the cafeteria today. No leo todos los días. I don't read every day. I'm not reading every day. Muy bien, on to la materia nueva, la gramática útil 3, possessive adjectives, talking about possessions. So you are already familiar, actually, with some possessive adjectives from these phrases, ¿Cuál es tu dirección? That we went over in capítulo 1, which means, which is your address? And aquí tienes mi número de teléfono. Here is my phone number. Notice that mi does not have an accent. Me with an accent means to me, the indirect object pronouns that we just reviewed in capítulo 2. Me without an accent means my. Look at some other ejemplos. ¿Cuándo es tu clase de historia? Repitan, por favor. ¿Cuándo es tu clase de historia? When is your history class? Repitan, a las 2. Y mi clase de español es a las 3. At 2, and my Spanish class is at 3. So take a look now, and what two possessive adjectives do you see in this ad for a gym? Can you guess which would be the possessive adjectives? I'll give you a clue. They are in that very first line. You probably guessed it, tus and nuestras. Your hours are our hours. Open 24 hours a day to accommodate the schedules that are most busy and for the athletes that are most dedicated, the nighttime gym. So there are a couple new possessive adjectives that we'll be getting into. The basics, possessive adjectives modify nouns in order to express possession. In other words, they tell who owns the item. So let's have a look. The role of possessive adjectives that they have in language is to describe who owns something. Possessive adjectives exist in English as well as in Spanish, and here they are: my, your, his, her, our, or their. In English, you'll notice that possessive adjectives go before the noun they modify or describe. For example, my book, your paper. And just like English, you'll be happy to know that possessive adjectives in Spanish also go before the noun they modify. For example, mi libro, tu papel, etc. My book, your paper. And like English, no articles are used. So you don't use the or a. So we say mi libro. We don't say mi el libro. That would be my the book. We can say un libro, a book. We won't say mi un libro, my a book. That doesn't make sense, just like our English. So let's begin at the beginning with me, and you're going to notice there's a second form, mis, because these have to match. You know, the agreement stuff, well, here it goes again with our possessive adjectives. So repitan, por favor, mi libro, mis libros, mis libros, mi mesa, mi mesa, mis mesas, mis mesas. So notice that the possessive adjective my only has to agree in number. There's no change for gender. We don't say mio libro and mia mesa. So gender, masculine and feminine, are both mi, but you do change for the plural, mis libros, mis mesas. Let's take a look at what happens with tu, your. Repitan. Tu libro, tus libros, tus libros. Tu mesa, tus mesas, tus mesas. So tu, and once again, no accent over that tu. Tu with an accent means you, as in the subject pronoun. You are tall. Tu eres alto would be an accented tu. So once again, just like with me, it is only agreeing and changing to be plural. So masculine and singular are both, masculine and feminine are both tu, but the plural has the s. Let's take a look at how you say his, or her, or your. Repitan. Su libro, sus libros, sus libros. Su mesa, sus mesas, sus mesas. So far we're seeing the same pattern with my, your, and his, her, your formal, that the masculine and feminine form are the same, and the only agreement we have is for the plural. You may be asking, well, that's kind of unusual though, because, how am I going to know that this means his, her, or your formal? It's kind of like when we use the indirect object pronoun lay. And lay could mean to him, to her, or to you formal. You probably recall a clarifying phrase sometimes being needed to be used, and we will get into that at a later time. Let's move on. So how do we say our? Repitan, por favor. Nuestro libro, nuestro libro, nuestros libros, nuestros libros. Nuestra mesa, nuestra mesa, nuestras mesas, nuestras mesas. So notice now, kind of like with our adjectives, alto, bajo, there are 4 different ways, because there's agreement that has to be masculine, feminine, nuestro libro, nuestra mesa, and agreement with plural, nuestros libros, nuestras mesas. So you will see 4 forms that mean our. Vuestro is going to follow the same pattern. Repitan. Vuestro libro, vuestro libro, vuestros libros, vuestros libros. Vuestra mesa, vuestra mesa, vuestras mesas, vuestras mesas. So here again we see the agreement, masculine, feminine, also plural, masculine and plural, feminine, 4 different versions. So to confuse you even more, how do you say their or y'all's? Well, here we go. Repitan. Su libro, su libro, sus libros, sus libros. Su mesa, su mesa, sus mesas, sus mesas. So this is just really to add to the confusion in the mix, isn't it? You are finding out that su and sus can mean his, her, your formal, their, or y'all's. So naturally, we need a little bit more explanation here. So let's take one more look at the simple possessive adjectives in Spanish. Repitan. Mi, mis, tú, tus, su, sus. Nuestro, nuestra, nuestros, nuestras, vuestro, vuestra, vuestros, vuestras, su, sus. Keep in mind that the subject pronoun tu with an accent is different from the possessive adjective tu without an accent. Tu with an accent means you are tall, tu eres alto. Tu without an accent means your, tu libro, your book. Take a look. Tú trabajas los lunes, ¿verdad? You work Mondays, right? Tu libro está en mi casa. Your book is in my house. Sound the same when spoken, much different when written. So you have to have the unwritten accent to mean your. Now notice that all possessive adjectives change to reflect number. Mi clase, mis clases, nuestro compañero de cuarto, nuestros compañeros de cuarto. Notice that they are agreeing with what comes after them. Okay, they have to match up with what comes after them. Mi, tu, and su do not change to reflect gender, but nuestro and vuestro do change to reflect gender. Nuestro libro, nuestros amigos, vuestras clases, but mi libro, mi clase. Unlike other adjectives which often go after the noun they modify, simple possessive adjectives always go before the noun. Su profesora, nuestras amigas. So a simple recap here. Possessive adjectives agree with the noun that is possessed, not with the possessor. They're going to match up with what comes after them. Tu libro, tus libros. Mi, tu, and su change to reflect the number of the noun they modify. Mi padre, mis padres. Tu papel, tus papeles. Su amigo, sus amigos. Possessive adjectives are always placed before the noun they modify. Sus cuadernos. And nuestro and vuestro change to reflect number and gender of the noun they modify. Nuestra mesa, nuestros libros. So let's pause to do un poco de práctica. See if you can come up with the possessive adjective. Remember, if the word following it is plural, the possessive adjective has to have an S. They either both do not have an S or they both have an S. So mi libro, no S on either. Mis libros, S on both. So they have to be similar. So here's the chart. Mi, mis, tu, tus, sus, sus. Nuestro, four versions of nuestro and sus, sus. So the first one, no comprendo a padres. You're trying to say, I don't understand my parents. So what form would you put in for my in front of padres? Mis. Even though one person is talking, the mi has to agree with padres, mis padres. How about this? ¿Tienes something notas? Do you have your grades? Remember, it has to agree with notas. Tus. ¿Tienes tus notas? Even though it's just one person you're talking to, the your has to agree with notas, so they both have S. How about this one? Escribimos something tarea. We are writing our homework. Now, even though the subject is we, is plural, what does the our have to agree with? The person speaking or the thing being possessed? Nuestra, we have our homework. Nuestra and tarea, neither one has an S. That's how it has to be. Look at that noun. If it doesn't have an S, your possessive adjective will not have an S. If it has an S, your possessive adjective has to have S. Let's continue. Ella lee something papeles. She is reading her papers. Sus papeles. She is reading her papers. Papeles has an S. Possessive adjective her has an S. Número 5. Ellos abren something libros. They are opening their books. Sus libros, both having an S. And the last one, aquí tienes something número. Here it is. Here you have something number. Whose phone number? It could be, here's my phone number. Could be, here is her phone number. Aquí tienes su número. It could be, here is our number. Aquí tienes nuestro número. Depends on what you mean. Un poco más práctica. See if you can figure these out. 1. A Juan le gusta pintar. Toda something familia es artística. Painting is pleasing to him, to Juan. All of his family is artistic. ¿Cómo se dice his? Toda su familia es artística. Número 2, Alberto, tú tienes muchos libros. Albert, you have a lot of books. ¿Por qué no tienes something mochila hoy? Why don't you have something backpack today? You have a lot of books. Why don't you have your backpack today? ¿Cómo se dice your? Tú, the familiar, because you're speaking to him in a familiar voice, so you would not say su. That would be the formal your. Número 3, something madre es fantástica. Ella siempre escucha problemas y me da consejos. My mother's fantastic. She always listens to my problems and gives me advice. The first one, mi madre es fantástica. And the second one, she always listens to my problems. Problems is plural. You got it. Mis problemas. And finalmente, a Teresa y a mí nos gusta estudiar cálculo, pero tareas son difíciles. So to study calculus is pleasing to me and to Teresa, but our homeworks are difficult. Which form of our? Look at tareas. Is it masculine or feminine? Is it singular or plural? You got it. Nuestras tareas. Now this actividad is going to be in your tarea. What you're going to see is the model. You will see the object. You will see the person who's going to be owning it. And you need to say if it's singular, it is. You're going to start the sentence with it is, es, my laptop. Okay, if it's a singular item, you start with es, then your possessive adjective to go with the person, and then the object. If it's plural, and here again we have another person, it's going to be you now who is owning this. If it's plural, you start with son, they are your classes. But remember, a plural noun is going to need a plural possessive adjective, son tus clases. Let's look at número uno. Let's do this one together. Apuntes, yo. So they are notes that belong to I. So ¿cómo se dice they are my notes? They are, son, apuntes is plural. How would you say my in a plural way? Son mis apuntes. For homework, because it's singular, es mi tarea. Try número dos. They are possessed by Maria. They are bolígrafos. So you're going to say they are her pens. And then you're going to say it is her pencil. Think about it for a minute. Son sus bolígrafos. S and S on sus and bolígrafos. Es su lápiz. No S on either su or lápiz. Número 3. Calculadoras. We are the owners of the calculators, and we are the owner of the drawing. Think about it for unos minutos, minutes, or seconds rather, segundos. Son nuestras calculadoras. Es nuestro dibujo. And remember, nuestro can match in 4 different ways, masculine, feminine, and the plurals. 4. You are the owner of the dictionary. You are the owner of the grades. Es tu diccionario, singular. Son tus notas, plurals. Número 5. The professor is the owner of the books. The professor is the owner of the chalk. Son sus libros. Es su tiza. And the last one, you all are the owners of the computer. You all are the owners of the pictures. Es su computadora. Son sus fotos. So a bit ago, we thought about the fact that su is confusing. So you come into the room, there's a big pile of money there, and I say to you, I look straight at you and I say, es su dinero. Oh, you are hoping that I just said, it is your formal money. Well, I really meant to say, es su dinero. It's her money. Oh no, I meant to say, es su dinero. It's their money. How in the world are you going to figure out what su means? Well, that's where they comes in. Let's take a look. When you use su, which can mean your formal, his, her, its, or theirs, or y'all's, the context will usually clarify who is meant, who owns it. If not, you can follow up with they plus the name. Por ejemplo, es su libro. Well, this can be confusing. Why? Because the book could be his book, it's her book, it's your book, formal, it's their book, it's y'all's book. So how in the world do we clarify? We ask the question of whom it belongs. And you may remember this from the little section there of question words, interrogatives that we started out with in our review. For example, es el libro de quién? Somebody says, es su libro. And you say, es el libro de quién? Or es de quién? If they're books, son sus libros. Son los libros de quiénes? They're the books of whom? And you would answer, es de la profesora. Es el libro de la profesora. It's the professors. But remember, there aren't any apostrophe S's in Spanish, so we have to bring in the use of, de. A little bit more of an explanation here, because this is another one of those confusing topics for us. Possessives, apostrophe S apostrophe, do not exist in Spanish. For example, you cannot say Jim's book. You cannot say Jim's libro, Pedro's libros. Libro, they don't have the apostrophe S. In Spanish, the de construction is used instead. So take a look. Jim's book does not exist. Jim's libro, we have to say el libro de Jim, the book of Jim. The student's class doesn't exist. Los estudiantes clase, with an apostrophe, does not exist. We have to say la clase de los estudiantes. Now, something interesting is going to happen. A contraction happens when we have de and el together. It becomes del. For example, el libro del profesor. Would it be horrible if you said el libro de el profesor? No, it just is a little cumbersome. It's like saying I do not go to the store. We usually say I don't go to the store. So de and el will contract. You've already learned to express possession using de plus a noun. For example, you may have seen es la computadora portátil de la profesora. It's a professor's laptop. But keep in mind, in Spanish, you can't say or write es la profesora's computadora. Why? Because that doesn't exist. So please don't use it. Despite my saying this to you, I bet you any money when I get some writing down the road, I will see an apostrophe S. I want you to say over and over and over to yourself, I can't use it. It doesn't exist. So we need a little bit of practice here. Juanita's mother does not exist in Spanish. What do you have to say instead? La madre de Juanita. The girl's backpacks doesn't exist, the apostrophe S or the S apostrophe. How do you get that across in Spanish? Las mochilas, start with the object, las mochilas de, and then the owner, las mochilas de las chicas, las mochilas de las niñas. The man's brother, apostrophe S doesn't exist. How will you get that across in Spanish? Start with the brother of the man. El hermano de el hombre, and if you can remember it, de and el contract and become del. Un poco más práctica. Now we're going to mix the possessive adjectives with it. Es el padre de Juan. It's Juan's father, the father of Juan. So how am I going to say it's his father? Es su padre. So you come into the room and somebody says, es su padre. you don't know whose father it is, so you would ask the question, ¿El padre de quién? And then you would hear that first sentence. Oh, el padre de Juan. Next one. Son los exámenes de los estudiantes. They're the students' exams. They're the exams of the students. How would I say they are their exams? Son sus exámenes. You come into the room and I say son sus exámenes. You don't know who those exams belong to, so you might ask the question, los exámenes de quiénes, because you heard the plural sus or de quién. Los exámenes de quién or de quiénes. Número 3, es la hermana de Carlos y de mí. The sister of Carlos and of me. So in other words, she's our sister. How would you say that? Es nuestra hermana, la hermana de Carlos y de mí. Y finalmente, es la profesora de ti. It is your teacher. It is the teacher of you. ¿Cómo se dice? It's your teacher, familiar. Es tu profesora. And you will have oportunidades to work with the possessive adjectives in your tarea. Moving on, let's take a look at this in action. Sonrisas, smiles, our dibujo animado. Frame número 1, cásate conmigo, marry me. How beautiful, qué bonito. Mi perro es tu perro. Oh, qué bonito. Mi carro es tu carro. Qué bonito. Mi familia es tu familia. Muy bien. Mis amigos son tus amigos. She's starting to look at her watch. Okay. Oh, look at this, la casa. Pero mi casa es mi casa. So, comprensión, in your opinion, how would you describe the characters in the cartoon? Número 1, en tu opinión, ¿es generoso y romántico o manipulador el hombre? Manipulador. Do you think so? He really set her up there at the beginning. En tu opinión, ¿es inocente y romántica o manipuladora la mujer? Inocente y romántica. I think, right? You have your opinion. ¿Crees que los contratos prenupciales son una buena idea o una mala idea? ¿Cuál es tu opinión of those contracts? Y finalmente, explora y exprésate. Let's take a look at la República Dominicana. Bien, the last of las tres islas del Caribe, la República Dominicana. You can see how cerca, close it is a los Estados Unidos. Y de las tres islas, it's la isla mediana, mid-size, with Cuba a la izquierda, to the left. En Puerto Rico, a la derecha, to the right. Información general de la República Dominicana. That's the nombre oficial. Población más de 9 millones de personas. Capital se llama Santo Domingo. Fundado en 1492. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and that is where he landed. Santo Domingo, capital de Cuba, habitantes, population, inhabitants, más de 2 millones, over 2 million. Otras ciudades importantes, Santiago de los Caballeros. Caballeros, by the way, means gentlemen. Y La Romana. The moneda is the peso dominicano. Idiomas, español es el idioma oficial. A tener en cuenta, worth knowing, la isla que comparten la República Dominicana y Haití se llama la Hispaniola. estuvo bajo control español hasta 1697, cuando la parte oeste pasó a ser territorio francés. So the island that the Dominican Republic and Haiti share is called La Hispaniola. So the whole island has a name, and then there are two separate parts, two separate countries. It was under the Spanish control until 1697, when the western part was taken to be a territory of France. Santo Domingo es la primera ciudad del Nuevo Mundo. Santo Domingo is the first city of the New World. En esta ciudad capital se construyeron la primera catedral, el primer hospital y la primera universidad del Nuevo Mundo. So in this city capital, they constructed the first cathedral, the first hospital, and the first university in the New World. Un poco información de la universidad más antigua del Nuevo Mundo, the oldest university in the New World, la Universidad Santo Tomás de Aquino, ahora conocida como la Universidad Autónoma de Santo Domingo, es considerada la universidad más antigua del Nuevo Mundo. Fundada en 1538, unos 100 años antes que Harvard, en 1636 y Yale en 1701, empezó con 4 facultades: medicina, derecho, tecnología y artes. ¿Cómo han cambiado los tiempos? How the times have changed. Hoy día, la universidad ofrece más especialidades, entre ellas ingeniería, arquitectura, economía e informática, por supuesto. So now there are many more specialties on the campus, specializations, among them engineering, architecture, economics, and computers, of course. So on to el video, La República Dominicana, that you will see in your tarea esta semana. First, match these words that are part of the video, easy to figure out. Número 1, tumba. ¿Qué significa tumba? Cemetery, máscara. Costume, mask. En conquista. Colony. Look for answers to these questions in the script that we're about to read that has to do with the video. Número 1, ¿cómo se llama la isla en que se encuentra la República Dominicana? So, what's the name of the island where you find the Dominican Republic? We already talked about that a moment ago. Número 2. ¿Qué monumentos a Cristóbal Colón hay en Santo Domingo? What monuments to Christopher Columbus are there in Santo Domingo? La tumba de Colón y el faro Colón. So, Columbus's tomb and the forum of Columbus. 2. La Española y el descubridor. Hispania and the Discoverer, or El Museo de Colón y el Faro Colón. So the Columbus Museum and the Forum of Columbus. 3. ¿Cómo se llama la primera catedral construida en las Américas? So what's the name of the first cathedral constructed in the Americas? Is it La Conquista, Santa María de Menor, or Santo Tomás de Aquino? 4. ¿En qué año se fundó el Hospital San Nicolás de Bari? So when was that hospital founded? 5. ¿Cuál es el deporte más popular de la República Dominicana? The most popular sport? Tennis, soccer, or baseball? And 6. ¿Qué tipo de arte popular no se menciona en el video? So which type of art, popular art, is not mentioned in the video? Timbales, textiles, or vasijas. Read along with me to get some practice speaking. Playas, Mar Verde, artesanías singulares. Santo Domingo, capital de la República Dominicana, es un lugar tropical ideal. La ciudad de Santo Domingo está situada en la desembocadura del río Ozama al sur de la isla. Cristóbal Colón bautizó esta isla La Española. Aquí en Santo Domingo se encuentra la tumba del descubridor del continente americano. También está el monumento Faro a Colón, construido en su honor. I'm not going to translate the entire script here. Take a moment if you want to take a screenshot, you want to look up some words, do so, but I think you get the general idea. Continue reading with me. Las antiguas construcciones coloniales recuerdan la época de la conquista de América. En esta isla encontramos las ruinas de la primera catedral del Nuevo Mundo, Santa María la Menor, fundada en 1530. La Universidad Santo Tomás de Aquino, fundada en 1538, el Hospital San Nicolás de Bari, fundado en 1503, entre otras edificaciones y fortificaciones que datan del siglo XVI. El clima agradable de la isla dominicana es ideal para la práctica de actividades al aire libre. A la mayoría de la gente joven le gusta el béisbol, que es el deporte más popular y más practicado del país. Once again, take a moment to look at the screen, take a screenshot if you want to look up any words, but I think you get the general idea. Continuing to read with me, el clima caribeño de la isla es cálido y hospitalario, como la gente. Entre la artesanía que es posible comprar por las calles, encontramos múltiples ejemplares de la arte popular: collares, platos, vasijas, máscaras, timbales y cuadros como los que se vendan en el mercado modelo de artesanía. La avenida del Malecón pasa por las hermosas playas de Santo Domingo. Es por las playas de arena blanca, el mar y las palmeras de esta bella tierra que los habitantes la llaman Quisqueya, madre de todas las tierras. So you'll see a reference at the end there of the script of Quisqueya. That's what they call the island, mother of all the lands. Quisqueya is a name in Taíno language to mean mother of all lands for the entire island of Hispaniola, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic in the Caribbean region or Caribbean region. The term Quisqueyano refers to a person of Dominican descent. Quisqueya, Dominican Republic, is a municipality of the San Pedro de Macorís province. So now take a look at las preguntas and see if you can come up with las respuestas. Uno, ¿cómo se llama la isla en que se encuentra la República Dominicana? La Española, or la Hispaniola, you might see with an H. Número dos, ¿qué monumentos a Cristóbal Colón hay en Santo Domingo? La tumba de Colón y el faro a Colón. So we have the tomb and we also have the forum. Número 3. ¿Cómo se llama la primera catedral construida en las Américas? Santa María de Menor, the first cathedral constructed in the Americas. 4. ¿En qué año se fundó el Hospital San Nicolás de Bari? 1503, that hospital was founded. 5. ¿Cuál es el deporte más popular de la República Dominicana? El béisbol, very popular baseball. 6. ¿Qué tipo de arte popular no se menciona? They don't mention textiles, they do mention drums and earthenware. And 7. ¿Por qué los dominicanos llaman a su país Quisqueya? Why do they call the land mother of all the lands? Por sus playas, mar y palmeras. Excelente, mis estudiantes, es el fin de Module 10A. Buen trabajo y hasta pronto.